This is a sing-along. You'll see your lyrics up there. And it is a meditative chant. We'll sing each line twice for sure. And then we'll think about how we want to approach it from there. First thing we need to do is calm ourselves, because you can't really see straight unless you're centered and calm. So let's get rested. Here's our first line. May I be happy, may I be well, may I be at peace with myself. May I be may I be well, may I be at peace with myself. Okay, from here, we think of someone that needs our help, probably not listening to us, or anybody else for that matter, but we're going to give them some peace and try to instill that kind of quiet in them. May he be happy, may he be well, may he be at peace with the world. May he be happy, may he be well, may he be at peace with the world. Okay, on this next one, let's think about someone that may not be happy, and you may not be happy with them. At the same time, we're going to try to give them some love and try to change their minds. Here we go. May she be happy, may she be well, may she be at peace with the world. May she be happy, may she be well, may she be at peace with the world. There's people all over the world that actually need some love to be injected into their lives. And we're going to do that now. May they be happy, may they be well, may they be at peace with the world. May they be happy, may they be well, may they be at peace with the world. Last one coming up, we're just going to give you a minute to think about all the people and all the friends, the people that maybe you aren't that friendly with, that you're trying to fix. And we're going to inject that to them in a moment, but everybody just think about it and concentrate. We go. May we be happy. May we be happy. May we be well. May we be at peace with the world. May we be happy. May we be well. May we be at peace with the world. May we be happy. May we be well, may we be at peace with the world. May we be happy, the world.
Thank you, Michael, for bringing that song. Did you write that song? Yeah, Michael wrote that song, and so I'd like to talk about happiness today, despite everything that's going on. And in my thinking about happiness this week, I was thinking about what was happiness like for me growing up? How did my parents model? How did my family model happiness or not? My mom was always, especially when I was younger, she was always really busy, and she always made sure that we were aware that she didn't get to drink her coffee today. It was in the microwave. She says, it's cold, hasn't even been heated up yet. And I think there was a badge of honor, sort of, just to let us know that she was suffering for us, that she was sacrificing for us, right? You know, but in her later years, I noticed that the happiness more and more was there. It was when she saw me and my twin brother. It was just not around any event, really. She allowed herself to carry more and more happiness. My dad was, he was a smoker, and so he had to, there was no smoking in the house, so he was in the garage. But he made that his man cave, and he would fry bell peppers and sausage and, you know, all the things they tell you not to eat, all the processed red, you know, pepperoni, and he'd have a can of beer, and he'd go out in the garage, and he'd have a cigarette, and he'd listen to the ball game, or he'd listen to KGO on the radio, and the dog would be circling around him, and that was his bliss. That was when I saw him, he would whistle, you know, he would whistle because he was so happy. And so I was just thinking about the ways that happiness was modeled or it wasn't. So with respect to your family, what was the state of happiness, the happiness quotient going on in your family versus the drama quotient at any one moment in time? This talk also reminded me of the most popular courses at Harvard and Yale are their happiness courses. They may have changed names over time, but I actually took one of these courses remotely from Yale. But the Harvard one is great too. According to Harvard, you can learn to be happier just as you can learn a new language. And there are millions of people taking these online courses from Yale and Harvard and of course other places. It's such a, you know, you always see these news articles that come up, 5 tips to be happy, right? So I'm going to share some of these things. Here's what Professor Laurie Santos at Yale had to say about happiness. She said that we are miswanting. We're accidentally wanting the wrong things. Chasing the things that we think are going to, that we think are going to bring us happiness, but they don't bring us lasting happiness. If you get a raise, you remember ever getting a raise and it was like, you were so happy for a few days and then until you were wanting the next raise, right? Or that thing that you got, that you were wanting it for months and months and months, and when you got it, it was like, okay, it just became the next thing that you had, and you were looking for the next thing. Same is true of love. They say that this has been measured that in a loving new relationship, if you think it's going to get you happiness that you don't have, that happiness is fleeting. That happiness only lasts a couple of years, and then you return to your baseline level of whatever you were at before. So the secret is to work on that baseline level. You have to fix the baseline. Harvard also says there's a running of the rat race where you feel like, okay, someday my ship is going to come in, but I'm going to keep on working today for that thing in the future that's going to make me happy. How silly is that, right? When you think about how precious time is, and you build this biological habit of only having this much happiness when you can have this much happiness. All this makes me conclude that the root of the problem is that many of us base our happiness on the outer and not the inner. And so this is where I come to joy. I was sitting there with 2 ideas. I was going to talk about happiness or talk about joy. I'm going to talk about both. because we often use the word happiness and joy interchangeably. But if you think about it, joy is different. Joy can be defined differently because happiness is often based upon condition and outcome. It's based upon an event. So you're giving your power away. You're giving your power for your happiness away to something else. When I was leaving college, I became addicted to drugs. And one of the things that I remember was it lasted 6 years. And I remember my epiphany was someone was driving me over the Dumbarton Bridge, getting ready to get drugs, and if that person didn't have those drugs, I wasn't going to be happy. And that's the way it always was. That drug dealer had my happiness in their back pocket or not. And I started to cry. I said, I do not, this was January 17th, 1997, I do not want to give my happiness power away to anybody else ever again. So I said to the person that was driving me, I said, turn around the car. We were on the Dumbarton Bridge, so it was not as easy to turn around. But there's that little turnaround that in Newark that so we turned around. That was it. That was my moment. I had been going to AA meetings unsuccessfully, but somehow maybe the wisdom there sunk in. It sunk in. Power, my own power, I took it back for my own happiness. So, I digress. So joy is a constant. Joy is a constant. Happiness is a feeling, think about this, and joy is a vibratory state of existence. Happiness is on the face, joy is in the heart. These are just things that you can agree with or not. Happiness is an outward expression, joy is an inner feeling. But certainly, happiness is fleeting and joy is indelible. So now imagine for a moment that you've got 1,000 people in a room and you give them all the same exact condition. You give them all the same amount of money, you give them all the same things, all the same environment, all the same circumstances, and some of them are not going to be happy ever. Some of them are going to be happy before you even did anything. They just carry this happiness that I call joy. Have you ever known a person that they exude joy no matter what happens? They're kind of unflappable, right? Yeah. Sorry. Michael, yeah. And I think Santiago, did you say that you're one of those people, right? He's like, me. You don't need an excuse to choose joy, do you? So, and I think we should pay attention to this. Have you grown up with habits where feeling bad is good? There's a book called When Feeling Bad is Good. And I didn't read the book, but all I had to read was the cover. When feeling bad is good. And I knew when I grew up, feeling bad, drama, that was like something that my system sought out. It was something that I emotionally sought out. And to some extent, feeling bad about myself is something that I sought out. It wasn't a natural neurochemical state for me to feel happiness. Maybe that came with guilt. So, how can we learn to, this is one of the reasons why we come here. I think out of all the things we talk about, we come here because we want to be happier, because we know our connection with the Spirit, with the God of our understanding, brings us happiness. We know our connection with community brings us happiness. There's so many articles that have been written about community is one of those common denominators of every community, of every nation that ranks highest on the happiness scale. And by the way, last week an article came out that said the United States has dropped way down. I think have you seen that? Did you see that article? We're not in the top 10, top 20, 25 countries. We're not even near those top happy countries. Denmark is one of those. So maybe they should keep Greenland, huh? Okay. So thinking about rewiring our brains, because that's what it really is. We can rewire. Our brains are neuroplasticity. You can teach, for anyone who's ever dealt with stroke patients, your brain is very dynamic. It is extremely dynamic. You can cut out whole parts of the frontal cortex, and you could build new skills and new neural connections. And new brain cells are being formed in the hippocampus all the time. Learning something new, as simple as that. Drumming, art, reading, just changing your habits. It rewires the brain. So we can consciously rewire our brain to be happier. And there's been a few things that I'm going to close with in terms of how we can wire ourselves for more happiness and hopefully more joy. And one of those is this question. What if there were a pill that you could take that would make you more happy, feel younger, live longer, would give you more energy, would make you look better instantly with no side effects? Would you take it? Maybe, right? You'd consider it. It's called sleep. It's called sleep. Have you ever gone through periods where your sleep is so poor that when you got a good night's sleep, it was like, wow, this is like a pharmaceutical. This is like a drug. This is wonderful. Why don't I do this more often? Same is true of exercise. Same is true of exercise. And the next rewirement is gratitude. Wayne Dyer says, I think this was actually originally Thomas Merton, if the only prayer you ever say is thank you, it is enough. When you don't know what to pray for, just say thank you. When you don't know what to meditate for, just say thank you. If every prayer that we opened here and closed with is thank you, and it often is, that is a way we can transform consciousness, because it changes us neurochemically when we are in gratitude. So start your own gratitude journal. Form a gratitude text group, right? Gratitude despite what's going on in the world. We got to hold that. The next brain rewirement is something called savoring. Personally, I think about this. I think about looking at the mountains where I live, looking at a rabbit or a butterfly, looking at the sunset. When you see those things, what do? You stop and you say, wow. I mean, that sunset that happens every single day and those clouds, that picture will never look exactly the same ever again. And so you look at it and you think, wow, and you start to savor that moment. And so Laurie Santos at Yale said, savoring is a practice that you can think of. What things do you savor? Is it sitting in your backyard? Is it looking into your pet's eyes? Is it going for a walk? Is it just your chill out time with a movie? But whatever it is, savor this aspect. Let yourself linger with it and let it change you. There's a Danish word called hygge, or sometimes pronounced hygge, right? Has anybody ever heard of that? Hygge. And there's a Norwegian word called kusli, which both of those exemplify something that can't quite be put into English. They're coziness, conviviality. There's this feeling of sitting by the fire and just coziness and looking out at the window and seeing, maybe it's starting to rain and you're just feeling wrapped up with a blanket and your pet. So these are some of the feelings that we can start to savor. Look that up. There's a whole Facebook group dedicated to Hygge, Hygge. The last one is social connections. Whether it's our circle of friends or whether it's church communities, there's something in the air that is healing for us. It's been studied and it's good for us. Whether it's in person or whether it's hybrid, we can continue to create community. And I know community is not always neat. I know, you're inconvenienced. Community is like a way you can bump into, you get to practice forgiveness, you get to practice patience, you get to practice being around people maybe who don't share the same opinion as you, but this is where we grow. And this is why I think community makes us happier. But above all, community is here to support each other. We're here to support each other. Even if we don't all know each other's names, we're here to support each other, every person who walks in this door. So, I'm going to end with a couple things. Interesting point by Brené Brown. She said, joy, this is the indelible emotion, can be scary because you may say to yourself, I'm not going to allow myself to have this joy because I'm afraid it's not going to last. Or I feel guilty about having it. Or something's going to come along and knock me off this joy. It's not realistic. All the things that you were taught, don't just walk around with your head in the clouds. Get real, right? So joy can be scary and joy can be new, but I think joy is a choice. And that vulnerability is a choice that we can make. So I'll close with this quote from the Harvard author. Oh, 2 more quotes I've got. Hey. One is from the Harvard author, Tal Ben-Shahar, who teaches the happiness course at Harvard. He said, attaining lasting happiness requires that we enjoy the journey on the way towards a destination that we deem valuable. Happiness, therefore, is not about making it to the peak of any mountain. Happiness is about the experience of climbing along the way. And finally, a quote of happiness, I think this is from the Buddha, Siddhartha Gautama. There is no path to happiness. Happiness is the path. Happiness is the path. Happiness for no reason at all. So let's choose happiness, shall we? And so it is.